Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Thank you, Professor Lee, for inviting me to speak. I think the last time we met was at the actual launch of Project Aurora at the LaCretz Innovation Campus, Lacey. Not sure if you're familiar with that facility, but it is a showcase facility for advanced clean tech companies, and I was one of those companies over the years. Cal Battery was the name of the company. That was acquired by Dow DuPont a few years ago, an advanced battery technology company, material. And now I'm presenting something that's actually quite different to all the other talks today. Effectively, we've been working with the LADWP team at the LaCretz campus over the last 5 years to showcase what we would call best-in-class battery energy storage, solar, EV charging systems, attempting to put it all into one system and have it at this facility so people coming by can actually see those technologies. So we partnered up with some major companies, Schneider Electric, Ameresco, the largest independent renewables company in the US. So about 3 years ago, we were about ready to launch this project, and something happened here, pandemic, so it slowed down that project. And about a month ago, after a lot of work and going back in with the DBS and getting permits, we actually launched our operation there at the LaCretz campus. And I'd like to welcome anybody here to come and visit us. We are giving tours. We gave tours that particular day. And this particular project has evolved quite a bit. And what was to be a system where we were powering what the DWP had built in their facility called a case study home, or their smart home of the future, where we were going to power that and automate that home in there. We decided, with the help of our partners, to focus on something maybe a little more critical. And that was powering these particular units for the Unhoused. Where this system now that you'll be able to see at the LaCretz campus is actually an off-grid islanded system with solar canopy, battery energy storage system, and we are powering this particular unit there that's being really, it looks more like a container, but we'll show you a little more of how that is going to work out there. But the big vision really is for us to work with the City of LA and LADWP to implement these into villages. So we're looking to do 10 villages of 100 homes each. Now, these are relatively small homes. And the advantage to this is that we can power these up with our own system. So in relative terms, we can have a village built in a matter of months rather than years. And that's a pretty big deal. People quite aware of the challenge that we all face. And our 3 blocks away from move this forward and come down, for instance, is we have a and that the whole Project Aurora started and evolved, actually, even since Dr. Other technology in the Los Angeles, it's called Foldum, Advanced Building System. It's actually for of entrepreneurs like a vision to start out with. Evolve to these in mass quantity. effective way. See up here on the screen, actually that is by what we call W Pro, from a company called Discover, working with another company, Power. still partner
These are actually dwellings, so there's insulation. You can actually live in these units. It's not really just for sleeping. So that's really the difference. Now, these are still the semi-permanent
dwellings, but we're working to really develop systems that can be deployed for low-income housing that have all those attributes, and they're all net zero as well. But in the interim, right now, I think there's 70,000 homeless in LA County alone. I think 170 within the state of California. I know the mayor is looking to try to get at least 10,000 somehow off the streets. And so there's a variety of these different types of tiny homes that are out there. There's pellet shelters. This one is actually, it's a metal construction, so it can't catch fire. Those other pellet shelter villages, I think there's 3 or 4 of them that were at 50 to 100 houses burnt to the ground. And so I think that's why the mayor wasn't all that excited about going with what she had called tiny homes. But in this particular instance, it has a very high fire rating, R value, on these particular units. And the cost is still, in relative terms, very affordable.
Thank you.
I do have 2 questions. What is the project portfolio? So how many projects do you have right now?
This is it.
So just the LaCrettes?
That is correct. Right.
And then you were talking about a facility somewhere in California.
That's in Imperial.
And that is going to be the manufacturing facility?
Correct.
Okay.
And probably a community as well as just showcase community.
Gotcha. And then what supply chain considerations do you have?
Well, that's always a question. You know, I've been in the battery business for a long time myself, and looking at these types of systems and technologies, if we're looking at the overall systems, of course, battery energy storage and solar panels, which are powering these up, are relatively, commodities you can buy off the shelf these days in relative terms, of course. Most of them aren't made in the U.S. Most of them are made in Asia and China. That is a concern. That's a challenge. We're trying to work with manufacturers who produce the batteries in the U.S. We're looking at a variety of different kinds of batteries. Doesn't just have to be lithium, although we think that that's a superior choice. If possible, lithium iron phosphate, that's the ones that are designed for energy storage, not for EV applications, like they said, the ones that catch on fire. So those would be used in homes for safety purposes. The other materials that go into this, like the light gauge steel, is actually, that's all recycled steel that it goes into that process. So that we think is very interesting. And these other materials that we've looked at that are using, like I mentioned, this other Moxie technology material, that is also all sustainable materials, actually CO2 negative technology. So that's a biomass material, lignins. They're byproducts in the paper industry. 95% of it's just burned going forward. So that material is readily available for that application.
Do you have a price point for one structure?
Right. It depends on what you would like in the structure, but they range from $25,000 to $65,000. Depending on how many batteries you want to put in it, which generally brings the cost up. But in most cases, they average around $30,000, $35,000 with solar and batteries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Plumbing. How do you manage?
Always a good question,
water
right?
and sewer. Okay,
our partner is a contractor plumber, so that's the answer to that question. No, there's 3 ways to handle it. So gray water is always the issue in these types of units, of course. And so we can either treat it ourselves, where we put in a septic tank, we can connect it to a sewer line if it's close enough, or we bring in portable systems that we would maintain ourselves. So pretty much, standard practices out there, but that's what we're doing. That's the game plan moving forward.
And the operation and the maintenance is on the municipality where they're located, or how do those damaged air conditioners get replaced?
Right. Well, hopefully they'll hire a good service contractor. Okay.